general studies video lectures, notes and practice question sets for ESE, and other exams. In this video we had discussed a subtopic of energy and environment, which is Environment Impact Assessment. 3. Principle of ESE. It is important to recognize that there is a general principle of assessment that applies to ESE and to other assessment processes. There are several other processes that relate closely to the review of environmental impacts that may result from a proposed project. The following are well-recognized processes: social impact assessment, risk assessment, life cycle analysis, energy analysis, health impact assessment, regulatory impact assessment, species impact assessment, technology assessment, economic assessment, cumulative impact assessment, strategic environmental assessment, integrated impact assessment. Some, like energy analysis, focus on a particular part of the environment. Others, like life cycle analysis, enable the consideration of all those parts of the environment that are relevant to the assessment. Also, depending on how the terms, like health, are defined for the study, you may find that it is covering most of the issues that would be found in an ESE. For example, a technology assessment does include review of the impacts on ecosystems, air quality and the like. Similarly, if the definition of environmental is taken broadly for an ESE, then the ESE may cover the issues of the other assessment processes. For example, social aspects such as impacts on employment, community interaction, risks such as threats to native animals, water supplies, life cycle such as the impacts at each stage of the project design through to operation and closure, and energy such as use of non-renewable energy sources, greenhouse gas emissions, etc. So there is the potential for a lot of connections between the different forms of assessment. The essential difference between them is how the terms, or scope of assessment, are defined narrowly, or broadly. Otherwise they all follow the same general principle. With all the assessment approaches noted above, they are designed to identify potential impacts of a development, action or project. To do this, the assessor needs to use personal experience and the experiences of others, including available knowledge, to think broadly about the changes that are possible, and whether those impacts will be positive or negative. Particular approaches emphasize specific types of impacts, that is, on health, on social groups. All have basically the same approach, although each may have its own individual language and detailed techniques. Most of the assessment processes also include a second step. After identifying the impacts, they also consider what may be needed to avoid or reduce adverse impacts. 4. Purposes of ESE. ESE is a process with several important purposes, which can be categorized as follows. 1. To facilitate decision-making for the decision-maker, for example the local authority. It provides a systematic examination of the environmental implications of a proposed action, and sometimes alternatives, before a decision is taken. The decision-maker, along with other documentation relating to the planned activity, can consider the environment impact statement ESE. 2. To aid in the formation of development. Many developers see it as another set of hurdles for them to cross in order to proceed with their various activities. They may also see the process involved in obtaining the permission from various authorities as costly and time-consuming. In reality, however, it can be of great benefit to them, since it can provide a framework for considering location and design issues and environmental issues in parallel. It can be an aid to the formulation of developmental actions, indicating areas where the project can be modified to minimize or eliminate altogether the adverse impacts on the environment. The consideration of environmental impacts early in the planning life of a development can lead to environmentally sensitive development, to improved relations between the developer, the planning authority and the local communities, to a smoother planning permission process and sometimes to a worthwhile financial return on the expenditure incurred. 3. To be an instrument for sustainable development. The key characteristics of sustainable development include maintaining the overall quality of life, maintaining continuing access to natural resources, and avoiding lasting environmental damage. Institutional responses to sustainable development are, therefore, required at several levels. For example, issues of global concern, such as ozone layer depletion, climate change, deforestation, and biodiversity loss, require a global political commitment to action. The United Nations Conference on Environment and Development (UNCED) held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992 was an example of international concern and also of the problems of securing concerted action to deal with such issues. Governments have recognized the interaction of economic and social development and the ecosystems, and the reciprocal impact between human actions and the bio-geophysical world. While there are attempts to manage this interaction better, investigation revealed disquieting trends that could have devastating consequences for the quality of the environment. These trends are likely to be more pronounced in developing countries where, because of greater rates of population growth and lower current living standards, there is more pressure on environmental resources. In short, an interaction among the resources, sectors and policies is necessary for sustainable development as illustrated in Figure 1 below, and it contributes to this process. Figure 1 Sustainable Development and Illustration.